Hello and welcome into the NECC Nationals 2024. I'm Danger Taco. That is our good friend Oliver Bass, and this is the start of really a two-day fiesta of really high-level Rocket League teams playing all weekend long for the prize, and really all season leading up to this. Just to finish it off right on here, we have Ball State coming up, going against Southern Miss for our opener for groups.
I'm excited for this one, Taco. It has been a long time in the making to see this. I mean, you and I have been waiting to see national championships for collegiate all year long. We finally get to it here in May. It's the end of the year, and all of these teams have been prepping for this exact moment. Ball State and Southern Miss, I know these two teams recognize the stakes here because guess what? For Southern Miss, they need this win.
Yes, Southern Miss is trying to make sure they are locking on in. The group stage so far for them has not really been as I'd say eventful in terms of the wins column that they would like. But so going up against Ball State is one thing, because just across the way in this venue, we just saw Ball State complete a best-of-7 perfect sweep against an Akron Zip squad. So not only are they coming in hot, they are flaming. Someone needs to put them out. We need to call 911 at a certain point.
At this point, it might sound like exaggeration, but in the time that Taco and I have casted Rocket League, look, correct me if I'm wrong. Have you ever seen a best-of-7 perfect sweep?
I mean, not live. Certainly never cast one, because typically a team puts something up. They're able to fight on back, and this is a tough thing to be able to witness, not only because Ball State's doing this well, but against who they're against. Southern Miss is an upstart org, but one of the members, Zap, poor little Zaphew, he was on Ball State. He has since left the university, and now this is kind of the revenge tour.
It's the revenge tour, but it's a revenge tour that might take a little while to actually get on tour. The issue is like we said, Ball State's so incredibly on fire. The Southern Miss team here took a pretty important victory to get here, I will say. Unfortunately, I was at the receiving end of it. I happen to be the coach for Oklahoma Christian, another team within this collegiate scene within NECC. They beat that Oklahoma Christian team 3-0. It was an upset victory against us. As painful as it is for me to admit that, it's because it was impressive. They were a team that wasn't exactly expected to make it to this land. Now that they are here, they need to continue to up their expectations. Like we mentioned before, this Ball State team comes into this one the very definitive #1 team participating, so it's up to them to try and climb to the summit and get over what is a seemingly impossible task.
Yeah, Ball State obviously playing in that Legends division. And speaking of Ball State, we should probably take a look at the players that make up this squad. Wova, Oath, and Guh playing out of their minds. At some points, you might say, well, Oath and Guh, they're really the high-profile players in here. Let's not discount Wova. At times, he has been instrumental in a lot of these wins. To say that this is just kind of a top-heavy team is underestimating this team. And I think at this point, we should stop underestimating this team. There's enough people trying to do that. This team is for real. And right now, they're trying to prove today that they can capture not one, but 2 collegiate nationals.
I believe in them to do so, and like you said, you got to keep your eyes on Wova for certain. He's the only player that was kept on this roster throughout the changes, and when we take a look at the Southern Miss roster on the other side, you can see one of the players that used to be there. Like you said, Zath used to play for Ball State. They opted to keep Wova instead of him when they went through their remaking, and now he finds himself a new team in Melodic and Astro. As good as those two players are, and I don't want to take anything away from them, I also do want to highlight the coach for this team on Southern Miss. Southern Miss had picked up former professional player Mektos to coach them through here. We didn't really mention the coach for Ball State, not because he isn't important, but we've mentioned him, I feel like, too many times today. How many times have we mentioned Too Fast?
Not enough. I love my man Kyle. Shout out to him if he's watching. But at the end of the day, he's over the player's shoulders. He's trying to focus in. So you have Mektos and Too Fast, 2 legends of the scene, super high SSLs to be able to be over the shoulders of players, in their ears when they need the most, between games, making those adjustments. And then beyond that, when you do look at Southern Miss, you have to get in the roster. We were talking up all these things about how good Ball State truly is. But then when Southern Miss, Zath was a top-tier player in collegiate. Melodic was on Bruton Parker earlier on in their initial squad, their foray into collegiate, and they look spectacular. Astro has been a bubble player for forever. So this is a team that really just got thrown together. I don't mean to say that it was careless. It was very deliberate, but it was a team that came together out of nowhere. I just got a DM from Zaz that, hey, watch out for next semester, and here they are, top 4 at NECC Nationals.
We've been waiting for this team to finally get their chance to debut in a setting like this for quite a while. Again, collegiate spaces have been limited in this last semester. NECC, shout out to you guys for making sure that they have a platform to perform on, to play in. The Southern Miss team finally gets a chance here on LAN, something very few teams have had the opportunity to do so. Ball State, I mean, they've been to LANs before. They've played well on LANs before. But the Southern Miss squad, they are rookies to this environment. I don't actually even know, has Astro, despite his professional career, has he ever made it to a LAN?
I think he has played on teams that have gotten pretty close. I know there are some that I want to say confidently, but I'd have to check the Wikipedia for that one, and I don't want to say it with any confidence. All I know is that he's certainly a player that has reached that precipice, not necessarily at the zenith of it, though. So yeah. I think for right now, he'll have to settle for some LAN glory here within the collegiate space, so long as he can get past Ball State. Of course, group stage can go a lot of different ways, but this is very much so where we're right on the edge of make or break territory.
You have to win. If for Southern Miss here, in order to stay in contention to make it to the grand finals tomorrow for NECC, you have to take a win here. That's why we say this is so important. For Ball State, they're most likely going to make it there. The only way they don't is if they get upset victories back to back. In order for the upsets to happen, Southern Miss needs to start it off, though. They are in a very tough position here, already having taken a loss on the day. Look, I don't want to try and, continue to just bash upon a Southern Miss and the odds that they are fighting against here, but we have to paint the picture. Ball State are one of the best teams in the country when it comes to Collegiate Rocket League. They have proven this time and time again. Southern Miss, it is now your time to prove you deserve to be up there with the greatest of the greats.
Particularly when LAN does come with its own challenges. A lot of these teams, you come in and you got a chip on your shoulder, but they're not playing in their normal setup. They have to, of course, bring their peripherals, but for a certain extent, you're playing with different frame rates. You're playing with different audience noise. You're sitting right next to your teammates, and it's a little bit harder if you're frustrated to hide that. You can't just mute and ignore your body language. There's so many tiny micro factors that kind of come in as tangential to your performance, but still something that can impact that. And I think when it comes to the personalities on Southern Miss, a lot of them that we do know, they're really emotional players. They are known in the scene as that type of archetypal player. And so I think using that and being able to channel that is probably one of the hardest things to do, but that's exactly why I trust a player and now turned coach like Mektos to be able to do that one. So if they're going to engineer an upset, which is, I think we're kind of labeling it early as that, then that I think has to be the mechanism. Use that passion to propel yourselves forward.
It's very important to keep those emotions stable, especially in a LAN environment like this. Like you said, every little thing, it's not just that you can hear them through comms. You can physically see if your teammates are starting to tilt out of series, if they're not quite in it. You got to channel that passion. You got to channel that energy, and it's a lot easier said than done. A lot of great players on that Southern Miss roster. If they can use that energy, that passion to kind of propel them, it'd be huge. But if they let it burn them down, it is going to be a rough series for this Southern Miss team. On the other side for Ball State, I really do kind of feel, even if they are on an off day, they have the individual prowess to be able to kind of make up for that. Every player on that team is elite, and that is not just for me to try and say, oh, they're a good team. Obviously, we've mentioned that. It's that individually the accolades stack up for them as well. Guh, getting almost to the RLCS scene, the professional circuit. He was, I think, a game or a series away. Oath, a mainstay within the professional circuit, and then their teammate in Wova. He may not necessarily be, as regular a professional player, but he has gotten close before, and he is probably the most improved player on this roster.
And that's really the most important part about playing collegiate, is that really the Achilles heel of most teams is not to necessarily single out any specific player, because there's a lot of teams I think that fit into this category as you and I are CRL analysts. And so when we look through a lot of the rosters, we're saying, man, if only they could just make this third player work. Like, we know how good they are, but you can have three of the best players on the earth, but if they can't click and find a system that works, it really doesn't matter. So that's why I find it impressive that sometimes these programs come together, and sometimes it's friends vouching for each other and getting through. But other times it's just trying to find teams saying, okay, these are the things we're good at, and it's best to be able to minimize weaknesses and utilize all those strengths collectively. And that's a harder task. I think a lot of people think it's just, well, just fix your rotations, but sometimes you get in your way. So that's why I have watched the Southern Miss team. They actually beat the team that I coach in University of South Florida in games. They're impressive, they're fast, they're vicious in the air, they love going for resets, and I think that's one thing that Ball State excels at defending. Whether or not that they are going to be surprised, more or less, I think is a question that I've said, because I can't really say that Ball State has run into Southern Miss too many times across competitions.
I don't think so. At least I don't suspect so. Yeah, we could be incorrect on this one, but the thing is, again, these are newer teams. This Ball State roster has more or less been created in the last year. Like we mentioned, Wova, the only player that they kept on, the two new additions in both Oath and Guh. Definitely one of these things where, it's a new team. They're not quite figured out all the nerves, but for Southern Miss, they're even newer to this. Like we said, this is their first semester competing as a team. Look, at the end of the day, all we can really say is that these two teams need to be on their A game coming into this one in a couple minutes. We're going to go to a quick break here, but when we return, it's even more action here at the NECC for Rocket League. Stay tuned.
Thank you for your patience, and we are indeed back with NECC Nationals 2024. We are still queuing up Ball State and Southern Miss, and after this short break, we do have players in the lobby. They look locked in, and we had to deal with some technical issues, so shout out to the back-end crew. They're killing it all throughout this venue and being able to run around this venue, being able to fix all that stuff. But I will say, yes, this is a complicated series here. We do have the best of 7. There's so many things to get into, but the thing is, we can speculate all we want, but it's still up to Southern Miss to produce an upset or really just throw some to Ball State they have no idea how to handle.
I mean, on top of that, it's more about even finding resistance against this Ball State team. We've mentioned this multiple times. This Ball State team is definitively the favorites coming into this, but they're also on a hot streak like we've never seen. A perfect sweep versus Akron literally moments ago. And if you can perfect sweep Akron, theoretically you can perfect sweep Southern Miss. So it's up to Southern Miss in more ways than one to defy expectations and take this to its limits. A best of 7 on the horizon that is finally starting. And my goodness, Ball State, we got to see if you guys are going to be nearly as dominant before, because if it is, this might just be another 4-0.
Yeah, it can be really difficult to be able to really fathom just how locked in you have to be in a lot of these games, particularly because all it comes down to is making sure you're hitting all your shots, and right now it's up to Southern Miss to almost clip right off the bat. That's off the bar. The rotation's still locked in, but nearly opening things up with a bang.
I do like how we're seeing Southern Miss play here, though. This is kind of how you have to play if you are Southern Miss. You need to be in the face of Ball State. You need to be aggressive against Ball State. Ball State are a team that if you give them enough room to work with, they will quickly counter on you, quickly transition, and cause a ton of problems. I don't really know what else to say besides, Ball State, you play like you do, you'll probably win this. Southern Miss, you play this aggressive, you might be able to stop them.
And like I said, it's really up to them trying to get a lot of these touches through and make sure that you are staying aggressive, as you mentioned. But a lot of it is cutting rotation, getting in front of the play, and then making sure that you're actually getting realistic shots on target. I think one of the things that we saw in the other competition across the way on main stage is that we did see Akron play against Ball State and falter, mainly because it was almost like they were indecisive on how aggressive they wanted to be. And then when they were, it was kind of just like throwing chances down the drain. It feels like Southern Miss real mature with how they're building up, taking their chances at these high percentage moments.
I will say Southern Miss already faring better than what we saw in Akron last time. Akron, I think, went down 3-0 within about a 2-minute period last time that we watched them play against this Ball State team. So it's huge that they've been able to hold them off and really limit their chances on offense thus far. Let's see if maybe they can get a chance here. Ball State trying to get out of their own half. We've got one player going at it. Oath trying to keep this one close. Southern Miss trying to just keep this one off defense. It kind of feels awkward at the current moment here. Neither team really wants to dive at the ball. This hyper-aggression has caused both teams got to take a second here to reassess.
Yeah, the one thing that I really have to keep touching back on is that Zath coming into this game was formerly on Ball State. And the thing about being on Ball State's roster is that you know how they play, and I actually got to talk to Zath prior to this game and said, hey, are you feeling worried going up against a team that is really on a hot streak? And Zath answered with confidence. It wasn't even arrogance. He just said, no, I really do believe in our ability to take down this team, and I think we have them downloaded to a certain extent. However, it's not like Ball State's helpless. They're just wreaking havoc in front of the goal, and yet it's still 0-0.
Ball State doing a good job at just hyper-aggression against that net. Shot after shot after shot. The big difference is, though, Southern Miss prioritizing getting into goal and having at least a body in the way so that somebody can impede the shots. They're doing a good job. I have never seen a team that is this aggressive against this Ball State team and have it work out. The only team I think I've ever seen try and mimic their style and win was Boise State. So, Southern Miss, if you're looking like Boise State, that's a pretty high compliment that I think you guys should continue to play with.
Ooh, Astro almost getting that extra extension. Ball State able to get that first clear, but now they're down by 1. They need to reach that one, and Go will indeed do that. Oath trying to get clear to lane. No one's going to touch it because they're trying to dodge the demo. There's the first.
And this is the big issue for many teams that play against this Ball State roster is that you can try and be hyper-aggressive. The moment that they read your aggression, they read a dive on defense because they know you're desperate to get back. That's when they throw in a fake, a hesitation, something to throw you off your game and break your rhythm. Ball State are so effective in those transitional plays. It's not surprising to see them score the first goal of the series off of one.
And now it's Go with a lot of space and a lot of time. I like the fake, but it looked like the layering is more than effective for Southern Miss. Maybe not on offense, though, as that's another double commit, unfortunately. Going to go back into the midfield with Oath and Wova, trying to chase that one down. Zath with the initial challenge, but just going to linger somewhat into the back corner. Go's going to have to, I would say, go for a Psycho at first, but I don't think he's that courageous.
At this point, you kind of have to be courageous, though. Like we said, if you take your foot off the gas for even a half a moment, that is more than enough time for really either one of these teams to find themselves some space to work with. Speaking of space to work with, no boost in the tank, but he's got backup here. Over the shot and on in. And Ball State up 2-0.
And let's not forget, just on the corner of your screen leading up to that one, the demo to be able to clear the path. Ball State is a team that plays with a lot of finesse, but they are not above getting down and dirty, taking you off the pitch.
They kind of can do it from pretty much every regard. We've seen this team go for double, triple flip resets mid-air. We've seen them go for aerial passing plays. We've seen them go for ground passing plays. We've seen them go for physicality. We've seen them do pretty much everything in their bag of tricks. The thing is, though, Southern Miss probably hasn't quite read all of those tricks. They have? Oh, never mind. I was going to say, read the defense, though. Multiple demos, and it's still not enough.
Zath being the savior there on that goal line, but now you're starting to see Ball State figured out what's working, getting those lead demos, and especially if Southern Miss, they're going to stay static. It helps you with your positioning and the confidence on who has what, but the problem is you become sitting ducks, and right now, Ball State, they're hunting.
Ball State are hunting, but let's see if they can find anything else. They don't necessarily need it. With 45 seconds to go, they have found themselves a 2-0 lead. As long as they can hold on to it, they will take the first game here in this series. And I hate to say it, but they'll be well on their way to get another perfect sweep. If they give us 2 in one day, Taco, I don't even know what to say.
I think we're getting ahead of ourselves, particularly because Southern Miss has actually gotten a decent amount of shots compared to the other match we're referring to against Akron just moments ago. So Southern Miss has been hanging in there, but the thing is, they were hanging in there. At the beginning of this game, it looked really back and forth, but other than that, it's a little bit tough because now they're starting to deal with a Ball State that is playing with confidence and precision.
And it kind of feels like this game is all but going to end with not much of a bang, but a little bit of a dud. Yeah, you can see it. Melodic out of midfield says, all right, we know how this one's going. We know what's going to happen. Ball State going to find themselves the 2-0 victory here. Like I said, they are not quite in perfect sweep territory yet, but I just want y'all at home to start counting and seeing how many minutes it takes before Southern Miss actually break their defense.
And I don't think it's lazy analysis to say that Ball State is a very streaky team. It feels like they're not necessarily in command of the game. It doesn't feel like they're absolutely slapping teams around the lobby, but they get that first goal, and suddenly it's like they just get a boost. It's like the upgrade. They have extra boost in their tanks. They're faster than you. They're more physical than you, and then you're suddenly wondering, wait, this was neck and neck. Why are they suddenly now 3 body lengths ahead of us in this race? It's so tough to be able to keep up with them, and particularly because once they find something that works for them, they just take advantage of that over and over.
I feel like it's going to be the physicality here. The one thing we have started to see out of the Southern Miss team is that they are not afraid of challenging the ball against this Ball State team, which is not a bad thing. Again, like we said, they need to be in the face of them. They need to be aggressive, but that can be a problem when you're hyper-aggressive and it breaks rotation. Say somebody gets demoed as they're rotating back, you've got nobody there. Why? Because your other 2 players have already dove into offense and your defense is fully exposed. They need to be careful. It feels like many times we are seeing Ball State send a lead blocker. They're getting the demo and there's no resistance to it. They need to be on their toes. They keep getting demoed like this series is not going to look nearly as even.
And that's the thing about demos is that I feel like in high-level plays, oftentimes when you have a game that's going incredibly fast, the players aren't getting the defensive structures they're looking for, you'll see players start to take their mind off the physical game, and it makes them more susceptible. So when one team starts going for it, it just adds another layer of the things that you have to juggle in your mind to be on top of. And right now, I don't feel like Southern Miss has anything in comms to say other than, hey, let's keep it going, but my God, make sure your hindsight is on. Bind that rear view because you're certainly going to need it.
Right now, Southern Miss is trying to build up some sort of offense here and struggling to do so. Oh, the shot on target denied by Zath. Southern Miss still not quite out of the half. Never mind, a pinch from Zath will send it downfield and to no possession. A demo going to slow down Southern Miss and force them back. And this is what we're talking about. If you're going to play with this hyper-aggressive offense, a single demo is going to force you to completely retreat.
Another hefty clear from Astro is going to do a lot to be able to provide them at least a little bit of resistance, especially now with these midfield cutouts. Wova going to throw that one away, and it should be enough to get infield past Zath. Playing patient, in fact, too patient. He was overcomplicating that one, and I think overcalculating it, if anything, which means he's not going to get that one back. A nice save coming in from Melodic after that banger from Ball State. So Ball State, even though with these slow buildups, understands that there is some positioning for them to be able to occasionally just volley one on target and see how Southern Miss handles it.
Oh my goodness. Oh, the flip reset in the bag, and he's going to wait to use it. It won't really be all that effective as Ball State are sent back into their half. But I want all of you folks at home to start noting something. Watch how many times Ball State send a player out to midfield and just clean win it. Also, keep track of the transitional goals that they're getting. Again, another cross-court play in an immediate score.
And this is the terror of when you see a player leave the ball, go up for it, has a reset, or does he immediately dive bomb? That's the Predator missile to get one confirmed elimination on that last defender, meaning it's wide open for Wova. And yet again, it's a counter attack. Ball State so patient, they know how to pick up their opportunities.
Look, I'm going to stop saying the perfect sweep thing, at least until we get to like game 3 or 4. But what I will start bringing up is how long it has been since Southern Miss scored. Fun fact, it's been forever. They have yet to score in this series. It has been 7 minutes without a single goal from Southern Miss. And although the score lines have not been overwhelmingly in Ball State's favor, this is how they play. The final 2 games that they won against Akron were both 1-0. They do not need to get a ton of goals. They are not looking for a ton of goals. What they are looking to do is give you 0 chances on net. And even if you think you have a chance, they're still there to make the save. Yet again, another one.
And granted, this lack of scoring for Southern Miss, it's not for lack of trying. These are good efforts. Ball State is just locked on through because one thing that really complements their offense and defense, because they all bleed together here in this great game of Rocket League, is how well they cover each other. Can't say the same about Southern Miss. Sometimes you trust your teammates too much.
They're just so good out at midfield. Southern Miss think they have an easy transition here. 2 players up and another one just a bit pushed forward. And Ball State go, no, we're going to win this out of midfield. We know it. We've done it on repeat. And at this point, they are not giving an option to Southern Miss. We're at 2-0, same scoreline we saw in the first game, but we're not even halfway through it.
And you can notice sometimes this is where everything gets a little bit wonky when you know you have to start pushing up. We're at the midpoint of this game now, but prior to that, you saw that Southern Miss had an attack and they all pushed up in a straight line. No depth to the rotation means if one person gets beat, typically your entire squad is getting beat. Again, that's what lends itself to Ball State's counterattacks, because they wait for those moments and they're going to strike like the Viper in the mist as they're going to have to be on defense. They're actually not up for that one, Gov. Fortunately, able to combine with Oath for the save.
I think that was honestly intentional. I think Ball State are trying to bait out Southern Miss. They recognize the fact that, hey, you guys have yet to get a shot that sneaks past us. You have yet to get a shot that really threatens us. So what are we going to do? We're going to force you to get more and more and more aggressive. Why? Because transitional plays, these counterattacks are working so well for them. If they can get enough players from Southern Miss to bite, they can go quickly into the attack and immediately score. They didn't exactly do that here, but they do have sustained offense being built. Wova, mid-air, looking for a 50, will find it against Astro. The follow-up from Guh will send it back center. And although Melodic gets in the way, Southern Miss still got some work to be done if they want to get an offense.
Oath comes screaming at a million miles an hour. He was late to that aerial and still almost beat them. No, Wova, you can't do him like that. That's just rude.
I just want you guys to take a listen real quick. We're just going to be silent for a second. Why? Right there. That is when Southern Miss has all of their axles absolutely broken. You can hear the tears that run from their face as Ball State are now 5 goals to the good versus 0 for Southern Miss. I warned y'all about this for a reason. Ball State do not give up goals.
Yeah, we'll have to check with Prada if we can put the soul back in the defender's body, because right there he just got dispossessed. That was wicked from Ball State. But again, that's what they can do. They're all individually talented, and obviously the team is as well. Southern Miss, I really need to reiterate for everyone, this is not a team getting bullied because they are lacking in skill. This is one of the best in the entire nation, but right now they're on a leash, and right now Ball State is leading them wherever they please.
Fun fact, that is Wova's 4th goal now in this game. I was still putting down stats for his 3rd goal, and he went, how about this? Let me add you another. I gotta say, this Ball State team, despite the fact that most people are gonna look at Oath and Guh as the majority of the offense, the real high prowess on this team, Wova, like we said, has been most improved and has found a way to truly slot himself into this offense on repeat. It's beyond impressive. I don't know what other words to use besides, hey, it's a goal for Southern Miss, the first one after 9 minutes of play.
And it's nice to get it off the kickoff. That's when a team is technically most susceptible if you can not only win 1, but how about 250? So a really full team play required to get past. Now they just need 3 more, and then they'll be fine.
Yeah, and here's the issue with that. You might have been able to sneak past the kickoff goal once against Ball State, but now they know they have to look for that. Now they recognize that they have to play, oh boy, apparently the exact same as before. Yeah, go ahead, try more kickoff strategies. Let's see how this works out.
See, Goth, he's a jealous kid in the playground. He can't just see Wova playing by himself. He wants a bit too, so he's going to step in for a 5th goal. And if we've already kind of rubber stamped this game as if it's a Ball State win, then I think we're kind of just overdoing it right now. Just get a new envelope at this point, because they have certainly made their statement. Yeah, the first game went well. Game 2 is really where I think you're starting to see how wide of a gulf between Ball State and everyone else it can be if you leave them unchecked.
Oh my gosh, Oath, come on now. Fakes out the flip reset, gets 1 extra touch on it, and Ball State yet into another lethal looking offense. That's a good pass out center, though. Melodic beat out by one of the Ball State defenders, though, and it's immediately back into midfield. Look at this pre-jump from Guh. That is ego beyond compare, and it still works out. This Ball State team showing how aggression can be utilized, how it can work out. And although Southern Miss are trying to do the same, they are not nearly as successful.
You're seeing a lot of trip-ups in the midfield, but also everyone is just kind of being splayed out into the sides because they can't cover everything. The man they call Goth at NECC.
Okay, so they went, sure, all right, you guys can get a goal, but what we're going to do in comparison, we're going to blow you out the water. 5 goals to the good are this Ball State team, and if I'm being real, there's 3 seconds on the clock. I still have somehow believe they might get another.
I mean, honestly, they can get the meme scoreline, but obviously they do not need it. I think the morale's high enough. They don't even go for the kickoff.
No way.
The sheer audacity off the pinch. Guh is not that fast, but as we mentioned, I think they probably took care of business, if that's not too little of an understatement.
All right, well, now comes my favorite part of the day, where I have to try to figure out all of the immense amount of stats that we have now found from this team. Fun fact, 4 goals to Wova, 4 assists to Guh. Again, this team is so efficient when it comes to utilizing all of their players. We mentioned it earlier in the day when we were watching them play against Akron. By game 2, they had 100% assisted goals. The only one that technically wasn't assisted was a demo, and in my mind, I'm counting that. It doesn't matter if it doesn't get put on the scoreboard. You're still technically helping out the play. They're so cohesive. They're so good as a unit, and right now for Southern Miss, despite the fact that I will say they're playing well, I don't know if it means anything, though, to Ball State.
Right now, I think the thing from Southern Miss that they need to hang on to is that they are being courageous at times on offense, and that's really the balance. It's really a double-edged sword for a lot of teams because there's a mixture that you have to find, the perfect balance of being confident and being just arrogant, delusional even on offense. And I don't think Southern Miss has really tipped into that one, but they might need to understand that, yes, you need to respect Ball State, but you also need to get in their face. I think that's why their offense is working, but the thing is, you see those moments where I think in the back of their minds, they're saying, I could probably go for that. And in that moment, they lose a 50, and it's just in the back of their net. It's so tough to counter. So game 3, we'll have to see if that minute in between allows the coaches to cook something up.
Let's see what Mekdos has got cooked up. Like you said, I believe in Mekdos. He's a great player. I have actually casted him on numerous different events for Ghost Gaming. He has been so incredibly oppressive when he was back on that roster. The only issue is it's been quite a while since that moment, quite a while since we saw Mekdos in professional play, and this is, I believe, one of the first teams he's actually coached. So, Mekdos, I believe in you and your abilities. It's time for you to show us what's what, though. We get into game number 3 here, and already Southern Miss immediately getting some offense. Unfortunately, though, it doesn't result in much.
One thing I'm really liking on that last rotation, though, from Southern Miss is that they trust the pressure that they have, and then they focus on stealing all the boost away, and that actually almost led to an attack that goes on in. I don't think they realized how open that was. Now another lead demo. That's an awkward block. An attempted deflection from Melodic actually slows down the attack, maybe to the benefit, because they have still not lost possession. How about a roller? Oath is not quick enough. Southern Miss with their first lead of the series.
First lead we've actually seen against Ball State here today. Like we said, the previous team that they played really struggled against them. Southern Miss, not the same. They find themselves up a goal with a minute gone. I will say this much. We're seeing a little bit of quick chat spam in the top left. And I'm just going to say this. I don't recommend poking the bear. I do not recommend you start to get Ball State even hyper-aggressive. That's not necessarily going to work out.
I would say if you are building a team of bear pokers, it is very much so. The Southern Miss team is very confident players, very outspoken, and they certainly like to chirp, but you're playing against teams that know how to chirp, really. The Cardinals over there on Ball State are not going to go down quietly. One mistake and it's in.
So that lead, by the way, lasted 13 seconds. It was 4:03 they scored, and now it is 3:50, and it is tied up again. Taco, what do you even do at this point? How do you slow this team down?
You don't touch the ball off the backboard without a plan right there. Zap is getting deflection, but the thing is, you need to double that, or you need to hit it in the corner, or better yet, calm it so early that someone can get up to it. Speaking of Guh, was rising to that one nearly beyond everyone, even from midfield. So now, here comes a counter. Melodic, he's alone for now. Zat's desperately trying to flip upfield with minimal boost, and in fact, he's got the absolute minimum. He's got 0, as now Astros to buy some time with a flick.
I feel like we haven't said Astro's name nearly enough throughout this series. A player that, in my mind, is probably the most proficient out of the players currently on the Southern Miss team, but he hasn't necessarily been too involved in these plays. The goals that we have seen come out of them have been the combo of Zap and Melodic for the Southern Miss offense. It isn't necessarily a bad thing. I don't think that Astro has to get involved in the offense, but it definitely feels like they need all 3 players firing on all cylinders. Like we mentioned, this Ball State team is so cohesive, so incredibly impressive individually. Oh, and unfortunately for Southern Miss, that's a triple commit. Now, only one player back. They were managed to get into boost, but there's the demos causing problems. Wova lurking around, and Ball State now, they get the vice grip they're looking for. It's only a matter of time before they find a shot.
That's not going to be an easy bounce, which is why Oath almost actually ran all the way by it. Zath on the far side, he's got boost and a catch now. A little bit heavy and down, but he still got a 50 up until Wova saw the danger written on the wall. He faked challenges, and that gets Ball State out of pressure. So clearly, they're thinking with a lot of precision, even under pressure. They're not just throwing their cars in willy-nilly. Everything is part of the plan for BSU.
They really do not care to touch the ball. They're fine if you want to try and take a touch away from them. They're going to utilize that. They're going to mess with you. They're going to make you think, all right, we're giving you a freebie. Why? Because they have another player challenging that you never even noticed was going to take the touch. Ball State right now really putting on a clinic on how to keep possession and how to keep control in a series, despite the fact that the scoreline is 1-1.
Zath's going to be a little bit late to that, but actually reads the angle perfectly. And now Astro with a little bit of a chance to dish inside. Wova with a deflection, rolling to the far side. A little bit of 1-2 cut out by Zath again. And you can see the confidence coming in a little bit of spurts from Southern Miss, where they're diving in and predicting passes, which is something that only a madman would do. But I would argue this is a team of 3 madmen, especially when you're pre-jumping that read melodic inches away.
That is how fast you have to be, though. Pre-jumps are almost necessary to find a shot against this Ball State team. And despite the fact that they find a shot, it means nothing besides that. Congrats, you got another shot on net. It's still pretty difficult to find anything that sneaks by. We had an early goal in this game, and we had a single kickoff goal. That is all that Southern Miss have been able to find thus far. And meanwhile, here come Ball State. Another chance. Multiple players back, though. Great defense out of Southern Miss here. They definitely don't feel like they're buckling under the pressure of this offense nearly as much as before.
I like the deflection, especially because it's a roller for Zath. He actually goes a little bit past it, so he's going to have to really regain off this 50. Going through one, not past the second. So the third defender is that post. There's only so much of a wide angle you can take. So Zath will try again, but how about from their own back corner? Bit of a double commit. I don't know how necessary that was. Open shot up until Astro falls upon it.
Big issue, though. We're starting to see boost tanks completely drained here for Southern Miss. They're having to use their entire tank every time they make a challenge. Meanwhile, Ball State comfortable to keep taking shot after shot, or maybe pass after pass. The drop down catches everybody off guard. That's 3 committing. And luckily enough for Southern Miss, somebody there for the deflection out at midfield to stop the attack. And now they get one of their own off the backboard. Oath, a great pinch out. And as much as that could have been a transition play for Southern Miss, they're going to have to try again.
Zath again cutting in front of Oath, be able to get that deflection, but now it's all up to Melodic to catch this one. Use his boost wisely. Wova certainly waiting for it, and Wova again playing so patiently. I love how he's just waiting for the giveaway, and that one almost led to a fantastic read. Southern Miss not missing any of their aerials, but now with one less player, that might get a little dicey. Looks like Zath has it covered, as we might be headed for an overtime, and probably based on what we saw in the games 1 and 2.
Keep this one up. Ball State, you got one last chance of this one. They will not take it. We head to overtime here in game number 3. I will say, this one, pretty dang important for Southern Miss. As much as I believe they are playing a good game against Ball State, a very resistance-based game, reverse sweep against Ball State, yeah, I don't know about that one.
Yeah, being able to keep it at least within a game's reach, it gives you a little bit of a mental cushion, because you know that you still have some room to breathe here, as Oath actually really played with it with the Psycho, but that gives an open shot up until Guh gets that next one. Oath down the line, just being able to exhale as a rare kind of awkward moment in the back for Ball State.
Touch in the corner here. It is a beat from Ball State, but they're going to pay for it with their life. The demolition going to send them out, and now numbers advantage to Southern Miss, who are swarming. They're looking for a shot. That bump against Astro, though, is going to push him too far into offense, and it probably means, yup, Ball State well prepared on defense now and have the boost to work with. At the corner, though, passing play. Pitch is not on target. Almost does. Oh, no, and that's a full bite from Southern Miss. Here comes the counterattack.
Oath going to get that high lob. Wova up quickly for it. Not quick enough. Met by a defender. How about Guh? Soft touch. Reset in the back pocket. It's to Oath. Going through 2 defenders, and he will not succeed in that endeavor. Wova trying to keep it alive, but Southern Miss has not necessarily figured out the offense, but my goodness, are they building a wall.
I need them to be careful, though. That dive into offense probably should have been punished with a goal, and now it has been at least punished with some offensive pressure. More shots. Enough of them that eventually you'd think they break, but it's Melodic with another save.
I am in love with how Ball State are looking for these passes, but I am also very much infatuated with how Southern Miss is playing defense. They're fearless. They're getting in the way, but also they're playing predictively. They're getting in the way of these passes, and I think right now Ball State isn't necessarily perplexed, but they have to be scratching their head. What else do we have to bust out? Maybe just going back to the classics. A demo almost into a double. Oath didn't have enough boost.
But the issue is now we've had Southern Miss who have to scramble back. All 3 of their players in the corner. The rotations have been broken, and here it comes. comes a Gub with a flip reset. He can't do much with it. Wova doesn't actually commit in the corner there. I think he recognizes the fact that there's no touch that could actually be made from Southern Miss. They're breaking them down. They're taking shots. They're taking the game. Ball State. Rio.
Yet again, it's a bump to lead the way. Astro with somewhat of a lazy touch, and that's the problem. When you take a touch, it's not just the rush to be able to get it over the next defender. It's getting past the player you just took it off of. They're staying on that rotation. They're swinging through your back line, and that is the singular play that downs Southern Miss. It's so tough to see because even when they're playing out of their mind, if that pinch went in, we could be talking a different game, but instead it's Ball State with an expectant 3-0 lead here.
What do we say? What do we even do at this point? We keep on warning everybody here that this Ball State team is on a completely different level. And normally you'd be like, yeah, that's all fine and dandy. Yeah, they're good, right? But they keep proving it over and over again. You expect them to finally drop a game, and they do not. That is their 7th win. No, actually, whoa, let me take this back. They also went clean through their quarterfinals as well. Yes. That is 8, 3, I'm trying to do cast math. 11 games in a row, and they have yet to drop one.
Disgusting doesn't really cover it. Improbable, or at the very least superhuman. Let's settle on that because Ball State has been putting in the work. This is really for everybody who tunes in and say, hey, what about that Ball State roster? This is not like they just picked the best team players from across the nation. They built this program and then found something that really works. And of course, I want to pay some due homage to Southern Miss because they put up the best effort I've seen against Ball State throughout this entire weekend. And if they can capture that again, great. But again, it's a mistake in the back. It's taking too much time. And honestly, you don't have a lot of time. In fact, you only have 5 minutes technically if you don't take this game. A reverse sweep required here in the group stage.
I believe in Ball State, and I believe in Southern Miss. I think Southern Miss have the ability to take this one and turn it around. I also believe in Ball State to lock in and close this series out. I don't know which one's more probable. I might say the Ball State win. Like we said, this would be the first loss they take all day long. They win this one, it is 12 straight. An accomplishment I don't know if I've ever seen a team do.
Well, it's really rare when you're playing against the best in the entire country and then you're still just making them look like a pickup game. Zap actually rising to this one. That could be a double tap if not for Gus. Slapping him out of the way. How about the second? What a save from Oath, but they simply can't do it again.
Southern Miss find their opener. Same as the last game. The big question is, can they hold on to it? I will say, very well earned goal, but I feel like if one of those touches just gets a little bit further out of net, we don't see it. Southern Miss, though, they'll take it. They don't care. They need goals. They need wins.
Let's talk about the micro game adjustments here. Southern Miss, a second straight game where they get the first goal, and now it's about protecting that lead or maybe even building on it. That was not a catch on the sidewall. Melodic quickly up, but who else but Oath, again, stepping on in.
All right, well, yeah, no, I mean, I said no way to him getting the touch off the ceiling. He didn't. God took it instead. He didn't need to try and take another touch because here's the shot, and, well, there's the tie.
Yeah, poor Zath, he is very much in that no man's land, or potentially a one man's land, because he is alone in the backfield with a deflection off the ceiling he has to wait for. And Ball State knows that. They comment, I'm going to leave it for that striker, and we're going to deliver that one through. And in an eerily similar fashion, that first goal goes in, and less than 10 seconds after, it's right back in again. How about another if that demo potentially went through, but instead it's just going to be more carnage in the midfield.
But as we've mentioned many times before, it's not about Ball State getting that first chance and immediately capitalizing on it. They like to put the pressure on and slowly burn you down. Good example, Melodic with no boost can't get up to that one. The demo's in net, going to cause some problems. Here comes Gus shot and on in. Picture perfect. Literally, it's like a storybook being written before your eyes.
But he knows exactly where he wants to put that one. You can watch as you zoom on in with your eyes that air roll from Gud, lean to the left to put that back post. And you see Melodic, they're in position, but they were thinking, well, that's probably going near post, probably get it out in the middle. How about the backside top shelf?
2-1 here with, 3-1 here with 90 seconds to go. Can you at least let me finish my statement, Ball State? Like, I get it. You guys are good, but, like, we got to commentate, bro.
Rocket League is fast, but sometimes even the fastest of sentences are just not quick enough, so unfortunate to be able to see. But this is what I'm saying. Ball State is a streaky team. That is 3 unanswered, and it seems like we barely even started this game because we haven't. It's 90 seconds in, and they're already looking like, nah, we're done here. Let's move on.
All right, I look to you, Mektos. It's time for you to make some adjustments for your team. Oh, my gosh. It's also time to not even give attempts at shot like that. How on earth did Wova go uncontested with a second touch to the backboard? Maybe it will work out, though. Southern Miss, they have numbers the other way. They don't have the touches, though. That needed to be a hard touch out center. Instead, it was completely halted against the backboard. And now here come Another chance for BSU. Wait a minute. Melodic off the backboard will put in the second. That's the first game we've seen Southern Miss score than one.
Big players make big-time plays, and Melodic has been playing off of these touches quickly. The comms are locked in for Southern Miss, but still a lot to do. The fact that almost still got that save, I would have left the casting booth.
I mean, we might have also just left it mainly because of the fact that that probably would have been the seal of the deal. I think that would have been the end of this game. Still a chance there for Gub, but instead he's actually not going to get the touch, so here comes Zath going the other way. He's going to try and challenge Oath, but he's actually going to back off and let Oath get a flip reset. We talked about this before. Southern Miss, I know you're making adjustments. I do not recommend the adjustment of giving Ball State more time. You need to stay aggressive against this team. If you start to turtle up, they're going to take advantage.
That's a miss on a clear, actually. In fact, that boost steal almost came on the deflection near post. Had to drop on it, but that means no more boost for him. Melodic taking it softly. Not too much left in the tank, which means the next follow-up is there up until it is dunked. Astro leaves Zath alone from an angle that was on target. And like always, you can't give Ball State anything because it seems like everything is actually still going on target.
They've done a good job of shutting down these transitions, though. The counterattack not nearly as effective as earlier in the series, and I think that's due in part to Southern Miss just being a bit quicker than before. They recognize when those retreats are necessary, and they hightail it into their half as quickly as possible. It's held them to only a single goal deficit, but as we've mentioned, Ball State are not a team that need to blow their opponents out of the water. They're fine with a one-goal win. They did it last time in OT. They've done it multiple times here today, and if they can hold on for another 2 minutes, they will find themselves get another sweep in their favor.
Nice roller, even better deflection on that near side. And he almost dropped on it, Astro, to get in that way of that defender, but that's great speed from Zath. How about another one? He's not going to beat Wova as that roll is going to, in fact, turn into a bounce. Oath with a reset, immediately challenged from Astro. That's more like it, taking the forefront on the defense and getting right in the face of Ball State. Drop down to Zath. How about a boop? That's 3-3.
There it is. They finally find a way to not only match the aggression, but start putting some pretty threatening shots on. That's a great setup from Melodic, and nobody on Ball State the wiser. That's the trickery you need. These standard shots that we've seen Southern Miss going with, they've been effective at times, but not nearly as effective as what we just witnessed. Let's see if we get another overtime, or maybe we get a kickoff goal. Guys up, looking for the block. Oath gets there, but he can't get a shot.
Really have to highlight again, Southern Miss's comms are locked in. They're stopping their double commits. Their boost management looks better. More importantly, they're connecting on passes that are not easy passes to make. They're drop downs into little micro chasms of space being left by Ball State. So right now, not necessarily on the edges Ball State. They're still very much in this one, seeing it's 3-3, but Southern Miss, they got to be motivated by it, but you can't lean too far forward. Same with Ball State, a rare counter and now a lead for their opponents.
Southern Miss stepping up big. In particular, I would say Melodic is stepping up big. That's a hat trick for him. He has been one of the main offensive drives for this team. He's got, I believe, either 100% goal participation or like 90 at this point. All across the board, he's playing out of his mind. He might be the first player to actually give Ball State a loss on the day, or they're just going to double demo. The shot not there, though. Huge chance for Ball State to equalize.
We have to think Southern Miss feel a little bit better that does not go into their net, so they can just kind of lean back and be relaxed about everything. So now we're back into this final clutch moment where it's kind of that awkward moment. You want it to be able to keep on going forward, keep the defense laying back, and make sure they're paying attention to your offense. But instead, Ball State, they're looking fearless. They're ignoring the scoreline. They're stealing boost. They're passing middle, and is simply not there. There's no boost.
And that's a demo. That's an open net. Just needs to go in. Multiple shots, and they almost miss it. That is the closest I have seen to Ball State choking the entire day, but they clutch up and get the tie.
That was very nearly a rare addition to the lowlights reel, as Wova thankfully is right next to the ball. Southern Miss got to be kicking themselves a demo to lead the way, but there's still players back. They just weren't able to recover.
I have never felt bad for a team messing up before because, it's just Rocket League. That's what happens. I might feel bad for Southern Miss in a second as well. Those are some open nets that should not be open. They still have players around, but they're struggling to touch it. So is Oath. Chaos reigning supreme here at the end of this game. Feels like both teams are finally starting to feel the nerves.
Demo on the back end. Zath with no boost. He's just going to have to chase this one to beat across the corner. He does not get that boost. That one's going to go well wide. At this point, they're probably going to play for OT, but hey, these players, they're entertainers. They're at least going to go for it. Pre-flip doesn't connect. It is indeed in overtime.
I'm glad I stopped with the perfect sweep narrative. We might still need to keep the sweep narrative on, though. As much as we are seeing a resurgence out of Southern Miss, we are seeing a Ball State who refuse to die and who look for touches like that. Oath trying to go for the double, can't quite find it. Pinch wheels back out center, and Southern Miss just looking to escape. You can see it. Players from Ball State are not willing to even let them alone for a moment. Even if they're going for the transition, they're chasing them for demos.
And they're getting real protective of their boost as well, Ball State. They're making sure on every rotation back to not provide Southern Miss with any advantage because clearly they do not need it. Zach, some time for doing something down the line. In fact, we'll go over Oath, but that's because he knows Wova's right behind him.
Oh, I don't like this, though. We're starting to see Southern Miss with way too close to rotations right now. It's going to leave gaps. It's going to not turn into the win for Ball State, but you talked about it before. They were looking their best when the comms were locked in and there were no double commits. Now we're starting to see that again, and we're also seeing Ball State prove one more time how good their defense is.
Yeah, even when there are these occasional gaps, still, it is so hard for Southern Miss to be able to work on through. Zath was actually taking a pretty creative route. I would say the objectively correct shot there, trying to play it low underneath the defender, and yet even still, the positioning is solid enough to at least get a bumper on it. Crazy deflection, actually, as was called into action unexpectedly. Low boost, another boost steal, in fact. Astro with time, with space, but a double commit means a counterattack that Zath has to deal with.
I like Zath's role right now, though. He's kind of letting his two teammates run the offense while he is kind of that patrol out at midfield. If he needs to, he can retreat. If he wants to, he can dive in. He's playing his options very, very closely and playing them correctly at that. The only issue, though, it's still not resulted in a win. Southern Miss just looking for their first win all series to start the comeback trail. And against a Ball State who are doing things like this, it might not even be possible if not for the save. Melodic, another clutch up, but the offense continues.
Ball State circling around the net, but it doesn't matter because it's got to go right down the middle. Zath, another high clear, waiting for it almost. That's a heck of a catch. He's going past one. It's just lingering there in the midfield. Oath takes it back to the corner, though, and he won't get that boost. So a lot of potential on these Ball State plays, but it's just the relative lack of imprecision, something we really haven't seen that is keeping Southern Miss in this.
We've talked about it a lot. You and I mentioned this on many different broadcasts that we happen to be on, but a lot of teams are great at getting to the 99th percent, and it's that extra 1% that separates squads. Both teams are trying to figure out what is that extra 1%? What will be the separating factor right now? Because the offenses on either side are being stifled before they can begin. Passing plays aren't connecting. Double touches off the backboard are being guarded. Aerial plays are being met with a 50-50. What is it going to take to break this deadlock? Halfway extended through an extra game here at this point. And it really feels like it's anybody's ball game, maybe Ball State, as here comes another offense.
Smartly plays off that 50. He might actually get it again.
Whoa!
That would have been ludicrous, but if anyone's going to hit it, it's going to be Oath. Melodic has played hero before, but not on that iteration. Zath with a solid 50. He might even get that 100, but not able to take advantage of it. Melodic has to take over and play with these 50s. Ball State not necessarily has him right where he want him, but it can't get much better than this. Boost starved, but the clear comes through. Now 1v1. It's Melodic. Wova, the savior of Ball State, keeping the sweep alive.
He's proven why they kept him on the team. He's proven his clutchness. He's proving once again how much this kid continues to improve. That's a double commit, though, out of Southern Miss. They need to try and axe those out. They keep going for them. It feels like it will eventually come back to bite them. But same for Ball State. Double commit, uncharacteristic, and here comes the offense. Shot goes high, though, and the chance is lost for Southern Miss.
You gotta watch Oath. He gets a flick, but Astro backs up and spaces himself flawlessly. That's Melodic with another deflection. Beats out the first player. Wova potentially beats out a second, but a fake challenge means there are two players back. That's a hefty deflection that someone needs to get to. They're on the back wall. Wova not close enough, but again, one thing I've noticed, the offensive boost management for Ball State, they're getting up on here and trying to make these attacks happen with 30 in the tank, and it's just not enough.
It's not working out, but they are starting to starve all of Southern Miss of their boost, at least on this chance. Only a single player with anything in the tank. 15 for Astro. Let's see, Ball State, what can you do with it? You can send it up high, drop it down low. Wova the shot, the bump's not enough! Again! Zath with a clutch!
And not only that, but Zath's looking upfield. Maybe he's the third option here. Astro to the back post, and Zath will back away. As you mentioned, he is playing the patrol. Does not want to dive in too much because they only really have one life remaining. Oath down into the corner. The ground double on target, and the defender in Astro is more than capable.
It feels like you called out their boost, and all of a sudden Ball State listened. Notice how nobody left with anything in the tank. A single 60 there for Zath actually will make the difference, though. Southern Miss breaking out. Midfield patrol from Zath yet again, and a late dive from Oath means that's an overcommitment, and now Southern Miss with some offense to work with. An open shot, and Go will get back.
And if any of you are disappointed that this was looking like a sweep and you want more games, well, what do you know? We're getting one in OT, crossing nearly the 5-minute mark here in just a couple ticks. And I'd like to think it's going to keep on going, but who knows when it will truly be called into question, because these chances, they're getting dangerous, but I feel like no team really has the will right now to go for the jugular.
Nobody wants to overcommit. Again, the main thing that has separated these two teams has been the midfield patrol on either side. At moments it's been beautiful, at moments it's been klutzy and overcommitting. Right now, it feels like both teams are playing on a knife's edge, though. They get too aggressive, it's over. They get too passive, it's over. That midfield is the point of contention beyond compare. It is the main thing that will separate these teams, and it is most likely what will either end this series or extend it. Long ball downfield! Oath gonna end it in 4!
And after all of that hemming and hawing, the strategery thrown on in and the tactics drawn up on the whiteboard, it's just muscle, just powering through on a 50, a pinch down the field. It's a brutal way to go down, but Southern Miss, you gave it your all. Best of luck there going forward, but unfortunately, that's a win they really did need, and Ball State, they're just adding even more accolades till today. Bass, when's the next time they're going to get a loss? What's that streak up to?
I mean, technically, it could be next up, but that's 12 in a row for Ball State at this point. I don't know what else to say. I literally do not know what else to say at this point. I will at least mention this. It's exactly what we warned of, though. We talked about it. The person who controls midfield will win the game. Oath gets the perfect dunk out at midfield. Zath is not aware that the dunk is coming through at the speed it does. He tries to retreat back, and it is not enough. Taco, I don't know what else to say. This Ball State team, they even at moments when they are vulnerable, they still find an X factor, a clutch factor that no other team seems to have.
It's tough to be able to see because I have to say Southern Miss put up the best fight against Ball State I have seen. This is a team that has played Maryville today. It's a team that played Akron's A team coming into this one. So spectacular stuff seen by them, which is why I'd love to be able to pick their brain a bit. So that's why it looks like we might be able to sit down a little bit for Oath from Ball State to be able to see what was going through their heads and really what's planned, as this day is not done. They're actually up next after a break.
Welcome back to the NECC National Championships. I'm standing here with Oath of Ball State. Look, I'm just going to keep this very, very, very simple. What's going on? Why have you not dropped a game? Literally the entire day, dude. You're 12-0 right now.
Well, I think a lot goes into our prep. We've got our coach and our sports psych here with us. And, last night we sat down. Yesterday we didn't play too hot, but last night we sat down, watched some replays, and did some activities with our sports psych, and today it's like we're a whole new team.
Look, I can confirm that. I have never in my life casted a best-of-7 perfect sweep. You guys managed to do one of those earlier today. In your opinion, without giving away too much, what is the clutch factor here? What are you guys doing differently that is not allowing you to break like many other teams we've seen?
I'd say, we played many teams today. I think it's so much different playing online versus in LAN. I think a lot of teams don't have the resources that we have, and Daniel, our sports psych, all of the credit goes to him with that because he's the reason we're able to come out here and we're able to play pretty much the same how we are online. The other teams aren't.
I would agree with that because it's incredible to hear. You and I were just talking about this before we got on to this interview. This is your first collegiate LAN ever, correct?
Yep.
What is that like, and how on earth are you able to stay this calm and collected in an environment like this?
It's definitely a surreal experience, walking in and seeing all this massive production and everything that's going on here. It's unlike anything I've ever seen before. And I think the one thing that really helps, other than our sports psych, I mentioned earlier, I think I've been playing against RLCS players and people like that for a long time, and I've kind of not overcome, but I've gotten the hang of keeping a hold of my nerves and getting around it a little bit. So
I can agree with that, as you guys are currently on an undefeated streak that I don't know if it will ever end. The only thing I have to ask you, what's the prediction for the next series? You guys play in the Maryville next. Is it another 4-0?
I don't know. We 4-0'd them earlier today, but that was with their sub. Now they got the real team, so we'll have to see how it goes, but hopefully.
We'll find out. That's going to be up next. Thank you guys for tuning in. This has been Oath. Shout out to him for the incredible series. We're going to let you guys go to a quick break. When we return, is this man back up again, this time versus Maryville. We'll see you soon.
Welcome back in, everybody, to the NECC Nationals 2024, and it is going to be another match of familiar opponents. It is Ball State coming back into it against Maryville, but this one is more so just for pride.
This is both a rematch and also a preview, a little bit of both. As we talked about earlier, Ball State has already played Maryville today. They 4-0 swept them, but it was in CECC. Now we come back here at NECC, where both of these teams have already qualified for the finals tomorrow. Because Southern Miss went 0-2 on the day, that means they are officially out. They are no longer able to get to the grand finals. These two teams are the ones that are guaranteed to be there. But we got to have them play ahead of time. We need a preview, right?
Yes, and last time it did not go the best for the Maryville roster, as it was very much Ball State really slapping people around. But this is more or less just a consolation match for the pride of Maryville. This is actually going to be changed into a best-of-5 because these teams have been here for forever. If this does not affect tomorrow, our championship, then we might as well just be able to get some nice little show match vibes out of this one.
100%. And that's kind of what we want to see here. These teams are very prideful. They want to play on LAN. They want as much experience as possible. As we just talked to Oath, he mentioned that, you know, he is a player that has never played on LAN. He has played, actually, he told me he did like a little small LAN-ish inside of Indiana, but he's never done a collegiate LAN. He's never done something to this stage. Again, for those of you that are watching at home, you might not understand what we're talking about. This one backdrop is one of like 18 events going on here. You look out, we got an event there, event there, event there, event there, event there. Like, it's always stuff going on. The caliber at which this LAN has created is insane. And the fact that Oath is keeping that calm under pressure, yeah, genuinely just crazy to see.
And it's really impressive to be able to see that because obviously players play really well, but I don't know, there's like a certain breed of players, I need like genetic analysis on some of them just to be able to look in the DNA. What allows players to be able to say, hey, I play really well offline, and you put them in a live environment with all this background noise, distractions, they're like, that changes nothing. This has changed nothing. I'm still going to pop off and be arguably the MVP for my team.
Oh, I mean, legitimately, I don't think there's an argument against it. Oath has been one of the most impressive players that I've ever seen touch collegiate Rocket League. The reason we call him Goath. He is truly the GOAT. He is so good at what he does, and honestly, if he can do it again here against Maryville, it will be impressive. That being said, it's a little bit of a different Maryville. Maryville earlier today, unfortunately, was not able to play with their full lineup. Shout out to Buddy, who has had the most troubles possible trying to get into this LAN. He has finally arrived here. He is ready to play. And Buddy is no slouch of a player by any stretch of the imagination.
No, and he's going to be teaming up with his longtime teammate, Adam, to be able to lock into that lineup and then obviously locking it through with Knight. So it is a collection of players. In fact, it's a fun little thing because Oath and Knight are teammates on Deleted XD, so in the pro side of Rocket League. So now we are going the technically level below, or really, at this point, kind of the adjacent level of RLCS for a lot of this talent to see how this one is going to shake out here. And our final match of the day, 4 groups, this best-of-5 show match.
Again, this is not for any actual implications for the finals tomorrow. It will still be the finals regardless. It will not make a difference. The only real difference here is pride, and really also a streak that needs to be beaten. We mentioned it before, I will mention it again. If Ball State is able to sweep through this series, that is 15 games in a row without dropping one.
And I know Maryville, I mean, all top-tier players, they are prideful. They want to take care of business here. They want to be able to show that that last game was a little bit of a fluke. And while it won't change the past, it'll at least make sure the ride home will be a little bit better here, as they might have to watch from the sidelines tomorrow, as Wova going to get a hefty clear into the midfield and get immediately met by Adam. Adam actually the player to watch more or less from Maryville. Just one of those players I think we highlighted earlier, Patty, is like a psychotic player on Akron. That is very much Adam. You never know what to expect from him.
I will also mention something, since this is our first time checking out this Maryville team on broadcast here today, to give you guys kind of a preview of what to expect tomorrow. This is another new roster. It's a roster that unfortunately is going to face themselves an immediate goal against them. Minute in, and here comes the first for Ball State. But it's a new roster, Taco. Brand new players on this team.
And being able to actually get everything together, get that chemistry online, is something that I think we've slowly started to see. And that's really the storyline for a lot of these rosters, because we get to see the development semester by semester. You change a player out, you revamp everything. This is a revamped Maryville from the past semester. And so being able to see that lock in, while as Ball State, they're going to double down on their existing talent. And it's interesting to see kind of which way the programs go.
At this point, we're kind of wondering if Maryville are going to be able to score here in this first game, because it's been Ball State with the most amount of offense I think I've seen from them in a hot moment. Let's see if they can actually score from it, though. 90 seconds in, the 1-0, the only goal that remains. And Adam, my goodness, reset into a pinch-out center, but nobody from Maryville wants to commit.
Another roller from Wova, being able to get the lighter touch here, and now going for a crazy angle double tap. He almost had that right there, but that's why he can rely on Oath to be able to finish the job.
You heard from the big man himself. He's feeling confident on the day, and honestly, why wouldn't you be when you're doing stuff like this? Credit to Wova, though. Smart to leave that one. He could try and pinch it center, but he knows that Oath is behind him. Again, comms on point, communication on point, rotations on point, Ball State on point.
For obvious reasons, Ball State has commanded a lot of respect here on this LAN, but to see Wova go for a crazy angle double tap, that is like a 1 100% chance of going in, and the defense is still like that might, in fact,
Oh
go
my.
right through, even on the dunk. It just can't quite happen for Guh, but they're always just lurking right on your doorstep, ready to pound another one through.
Hey, Ball State, I'm gonna reiterate what I mentioned before. Guys, this is a show match. You do not need to start going for shots that I would never expect you to. They are stunting right now, and they're stunting, and it's still working. Halfway through the game almost, they are up 2-0. Almost chance for that to break, but they're still not gonna muscle it through. Ball State wins the 50-50, and Maryville will have to try again.
Buddy, with some time and not a lot of boost, though. He gets to it a little bit too late, so he has to knock that one off the ceiling. Now Adam going for the Psycho on the redirect. He is a player. They said plenty of redirects, at least in games I have cast, so I wouldn't put it out of his wheelhouse, but now they have to turn back to defense yet again as we cross halftime.
Chance here for Ball State to maybe capitalize on. They've got the boost totals in their favor, and they've got the pressure building. Team Pinch ambitious. I like the idea. It definitely was not executed upon exactly how it was supposed to. And now here come Maryville with a chance. Buddy, there's a pinch that we're looking for. There's a 50 as well, but he had a teammate diving behind him. They're expecting to muscle through the 50. Instead, they get no contact, and now here comes the counterattack.
Delayed flick. How about a delayed musty underneath it? It's again just another player waiting. It's all in comms. They know the plan.
I don't want to call a goal dumb, but that kind of feels like it. Like, legitimately, like, what is that? Come on now. Go goes for the musty flick. They respect it. That's why you don't see a Maryville commit, because they're expecting that one to bang towards target. He doesn't really make contact, and it kind of works out as a fake. Calculated?
I mean, more or less, it's something that when you go for that musty, you have a lot of options there. You can delay the flick for more power and height, or you can actually hold back on it to go lower, because oftentimes when you go for that play, especially off the side wall, a lot of players act like it is a guaranteed touch at this level, so I don't really blame them for sitting back and not really knowing how to react to it. And right now, Ball State, even though, as we mentioned, this game is more or less just for pride at this point, they really just want to keep the hot streak going. It's like they know that they can just bottle this up and take it into Championship Sunday.
For Maryville, this is definitely about pride. It's about being able to show that, hey, Ball State, you might have gotten the one-up on us once. You will not get that nearly complete sweep again. That being said, they haven't done a lot to dissuade that theory. They might, oh no, whoa, but you can't do that. Come on now, fake on the line ain't gonna work here. But for Ball State, it's not just pride, it's about trying to, like you said, complete the streak. They go 15-0 on the day. They can write home about that for the rest of their lives. That is one of the most impressive stat lines I've ever seen from a team, especially considering they're doing it in 2 different conferences. That is unheard of.
Able to grab that one in the backfield again, trying to not only get one but have Oath as his personal bodyguard. You know, sometimes I get a little scared on the field, so it's nice when your teammate holds your hand down the field like that.
I think the hand-holding is a good idea. I don't know if it's exactly effective. That is. Bit confused. Woba gets a shot into the bottom right. The defenders, though, kind of asleep, not really going for this. No challenge made.
It's crazy to see Ball State go for these sidewall redirects. In my opinion, the hardest read in the game to make outside of maybe a Psycho off your backboard. And yet, every time they go for it, there's a little part of me that says this is actually probably going to go in. And I don't know where I find that courage, but they're just so incredibly good, so why not?
I legitimately do think that if you gave Ball State enough chances, they'd hit any shot you could draw for them. Like, I actually think that mechanically they're that gifted. I feel kind of, well, okay, I was going to say, I feel kind of bad, though. Maryville haven't really had a chance in the spotlight this game. They've tried. They will actually get a goal here in the first one. That's actually a really nice play tonight. What a flip reset. What a dunk.
Yeah, this is a team sport, but sometimes you wouldn't know it based on how Knight might play. And if you're looking at the squad, obviously, we have been just heaping on the laurels to Ball State. But let's not forget that Knight is one of the most effective and most dangerous players in all of Western Collegiate Rocket League. And honestly, I think we could go ahead and say even in Eastern as well. It's just a shame that he's not been able to necessarily make it click this weekend, but certainly a name to watch out for. So glad that he's able to get a little bit of a peek in this game one and really getting the only tiniest slimmer of glory, because outside of this, it's been all Ball State here to round out game number one.
Well, I can confidently say the streak stays alive. Another win for Ball State. That is now their 13th in a row. Lucky number 13. Maybe it'll be unlucky number 13, though, if we can see Maryville kind of capture what we saw at the end of that game. We've talked about it before. Ball State really good at being prepared for counterattacks, being prepared for team plays, anything that is going to happen to be a threat on net. The one thing we haven't really seen a lot of teams try against them is individual mechanics. And if a team's going to be able to do so, I would imagine it to be Maryville. As we mentioned, all 3 of their players with RLCS experience, with extensive experience at a collegiate level as well. Maybe we start seeing them individually try to stun. I actually think that could be effective.
I really do believe in their their ability to be able to get those plays forward. And really, on either side of the field, these offenses really just go off when they're let that space. It's just that the thing that we really need to peek on, because for all these players who maybe turn on the stream and maybe they're listening in the background and you're saying, man, they're just obsessed with Ball State. It's kind of hard not to. I would say we're kind of fangirling at this point because they are playing not scrims. These are not league play games. We're playing the bottom seed. This is the national championship, top 4 teams, and yet everyone we've seen Ball State go up against, they just find a way to figure it out. It's almost like they're solving an equation. I don't know if they're math majors, but they should probably consider it. It seems like every game starts off a little slow, and then suddenly they see that opening, and they just run through it full force.
How about we make a deal? I'll make you a deal, Taco. We can settle it on right now. I will stop fangirling for this Ball State team when somebody gets a win off of them.
I like that. I like that idea. I mean, I like that vibe as well because it seems improbable at times, but it's not impossible. So we keep saying because I need evidence. We're empiricists after all. Let's get into game 2 and see what has to happen to be able to make that a reality.
You say it's not impossible. Up until this moment, I don't know if I believe you. If they can prove it, yeah, absolutely. But I will say this much: if there is any team that I think truly can get this win off of Ball State, really slow them down, it is this Maryville squad. Something we have talked about a lot today, and we are going to continue to talk about, is the coach on this Ball State team in Too Fast. Too Fast, I'm hoping we get to talk to him later in the day. We will if they continue to score like this. Oath's going to get the first. But I really do wonder if this team even looks at somebody like Maryville and says, are they going to beat us, or are they really never going to have a chance?
It's interesting because the temptation as analysts is to do the transitive property type reasoning where we're saying, well, Maryville, they were able to take a win against Southern Miss, and Southern Miss did really well at times against Ball State, so theoretically that might be, no, you can't do that. You really cannot do that because every team comes into every series a little bit differently. They're building off of different expectations and different knowledge. As we said, there's teammates on RLCS squads on this squad facing off against each other, so certainly you have to kind of readjust every single time, which is why I think the flexibility shown by Ball State is so amazing. But hey, buddy, they're getting on the field and nearly showing that, hey, let's talking a little bit about our offense as Maryville slowly cooking in their app.
I like the way that Ball State's adjusting right now, though. They're, again, recognizing the fact that this is a lethal team they're playing against. This is a very strong squad in Maryville, so they don't necessarily want to disrespect them and give them chances at net. Doing a good job at meeting for the 50-50s, cutting out the space that Maryville is trying to work with. Just, oh my goodness, all around not giving them a chance. The first chance we see, and Adam dunks it on their head.
He's so incredibly literate. Look at the read off of the backboard. Poor Gov from the blind spot right into the net, and that's a tough one. Not really something you could predict.
Literacy at an all-time high here. That would be expected. They are college students. But that might be a different level. Maryville finding themselves way back into this game, and okay, I was about to say, if Walwood just stunts off kickoff, that has got to be the most demoralizing thing ever. It still might be. What a save, Maryville, denying what surely would have been an ego goal.
Oh my goodness, and then the deflection means it's not quite over, although it is temporarily out of their side. That's going to clang off the 4th defender, and right back into midfield for Oath, getting a magical touch on this one. That's the last of his boots, so he'll just kind of swing down through the backside, hoping for a bump, and not really connecting too much on those. In fact, we might actually see another one for Maryville, if not for Oath, making up for the offense with the save.
Buddy camping on the backboard like it's his home. I love that. I like to see teams that are trying to get a little bit more creative on offense, especially against the Ball State, who really have to force you into those moments. If you are not trying to get more unique shots, trying to get more unique plays, it's problematic. That might be problematic as well. Here comes Ball State with some good passing plays to start off the offense, and I think a midfield that should shut out Maryville, but a double reset and a follow-up from Adam, the bump being found, and Maryville kind of finding a way to transition against this team like we have not seen any other teams do thus far.
Buddy, in fact, he's not only transitioning, but he's actually getting a lot of reads. I like the placement idea on that one, as everyone is expecting the flip reset, but maybe Buddy needs to undercook that one next time. Oath, redirect, back post, and well wide.
2.5 minutes to go in a 1-1 ball game. This is probably the most we have seen Ball State stress. Although I will say, again, you know, we did see a Southern Miss that took them to multiple overtime, so I don't want to discredit Southern Miss in the play that they have had thus far. The big difference, though, is it kind of felt like there was always a chance at a comeback when we were watching Ball State play against Southern Miss. They were so quick to score goals, you would see a maybe 10-second period in between goals that would be scored on either end. Here, goals have been a lot harder to come by. It's been a lot more of a test for Ball State to get past this Maryville defense, and they're also seeing a Maryville that are getting a lot more chances against them in effective ways. Maryville, you might be the first team to get a win off of Ball State all day. You're playing really well. You just need to find another goal in the next minute and a half.
We all never seen a goal here as the double commit nearly led to a wide open shot. Wova only doing so much on that deflection. It will be able to be reached or at least looked at by Adam as he's going to get faked out on the demo play. Seen in all 4 dimensions, it seems like.
90 seconds to go and an offense brewing for Ball State right now. Doesn't feel like they're going to take their foot off the gas at any moment. They're so effective out of midfield. They're so effective in this offensive pressure, and they're even taking shots from said midfield. Now he's going to try and interrupt that, and a demo will open more space. He's got an open lane, and he's got a goal. Maryville 2-1 against Ball State.
Well, I keep saying, all these teams need to work together. They need to get some passes off. But hey, that's some good teamwork. How about a demo? And then the smoke bomb that gets deployed means another solo play puts Maryville in the lead.
And it was a double commit out of Ball State as well. You saw that. 2 players dived out at mid because they expected somebody to be there. The little bit of hesitation before touching the ball, the aerial that they weren't expecting versus the ground play that maybe would be more typical. It's just throwing those little hesitations, those little back and forths, and also not so little pinches. What on earth?
It's like caffeine to the senses right here. Once they get a goal, Maryville, they just can't get enough. I have to say, the most disgusting of boosts being used by Adam, the slime littering the field, and same with his mechs leaving the parts of Ball State just on the ground. They just do not know how to handle it in this game. A nice resurgence. Oh, almost getting one off kickoff.
55 seconds before the streak ends here. Ball State need to find themselves a way to get 2 goals in very quick succession. I thought they might have found one there. They might still find it. Touch off the backboard. Oath needs a backup, and he will miss it. Wova comes diving in, makes no contact, and Adam, he's gonna not stun. He missed it!
Oh no, that one hit me in a way that I did not expect. I got complete whiplash from that one, both in body and brain. Either way, not really going to matter. Fortunately, that would have been a devastating way to be able to throw away a goal-scoring opportunity. They have more than enough. Now it's just about draining out the rest of this clock. A OMG and thanks coming in from Adam on that one as they express their condolences in the quick chat.
Well, I'm going to express my condolences for the streak in a couple of seconds here. 10 to go. There's not nearly enough time, especially with an extra goal going through. Buddy going to get another one. It's 4-1. It's end of the win streak. 13 in a row. It was not lucky number 13. It was unlucky 13, showing that is where it will end. Regardless, that's incredibly impressive.
Yes, and functionally, this is something from Ball State that, as we mentioned, doesn't really matter. So even if this is a loss, we can still kind of say that there's a little asterisk on that win streak. Yes, they might not have won this one, but in terms of official capacity, yeah, it'll be just fine. Maryville 4-1, though, not just taking a kind of sneaky victory. They're commanding that one down the stretch.
And this is the big difference, like we mentioned before. Buddy is not the same player as Calix is. Calix is a great player by every regard, a player that has played at the CRO World Championship, played in RLCS. He is very good. But Buddy just kind of feels like he is the next generation for Collegiate. And he's also the previous generation. He's played on that Northwood team for so incredibly long. Now he's back with brand new universities. I think he studies for his master's, if I'm not mistaken. Master's or doctorate, somewhere in between. Regardless, Buddy's back. He's with a new squad, and he's proving how valuable he is. Earlier on the day, without Buddy, his team got swept. Today with Buddy, they're ending the sweeping streak.
Yeah, it's part of that experience. I think it's one of those things where Buddy gets put into the most unfortunate of categories, I feel like, for players, where it is the solid third man. He holds everything down in the OG Northwood roster. That was really his role. Everyone says, my goodness, Lion Blaze is so incredible. Hockey is such a great setup, man. Buddy is also such a nice part, but he doesn't get in the limelight. So I feel like when he did leave, there was a little bit of hurt feelings. Now there's a little back and forth on Twitter for a little bit between Northwood and Buddy, but now it feels like he has developed into the program with Maryville. They got the stars that they need, and I think now you're starting to see exactly why. Even though this is our show match, yes, they had their shot at Ball State earlier and didn't really go their way. Even in this match where all teams are giving it their all, they're still capable of those pop-off moments and making one of the favorites for both national championships here at this LAN here in the Esports Stadium looking a little foolish.
Well, I did talk to Too Fast earlier. You and I both did. As soon as that series was over, he came over, said what's up to Oath, got him out of the interview, and went, good interview, all that jazz. And then he said, hey, I know that we expect to win this one, but also at the same time, I'm not going to say that Maryville are just going to easily be beaten here. He knows how good this team is. He respected them, and he's mentioned many times that he will never come into the expectations of a series just expecting to win. He will treat them all the same. He will understand that if Ball State slip up, they are susceptible to taking unusual losses. It wouldn't be too unusual with this Maryville squad doing things like that, but it's definitely not the narrative we were expecting.
And that is decisive right there. Knight starting it off with a nice reset, but then the immediate turn on 0 boost to be able to still get that angle. I just don't know how they do it.
That is team coordination beyond compare. The fact that it was left to him despite the 0 boost is all the more impressive at this moment. 4.5 minutes to go. Let's see if maybe Ball State can find a way to resurge at this point. It's been difficult. I don't think they've had a comeback thus far.
No, they really haven't had to for the most part, but then within these situations, they do get put into this, and I think it is important necessarily to also point out to our lovely viewers at home that when we actually do get into these games and saying, well, this is a best of 5 because we're just trying to clean up today, this is technically, you could say, for seeding. Why is that important? Because tomorrow is a grand final, which will feature these teams. So in a way, it is also an early preview. Seeing Maryville be able to take it to Ball State like this and now again get in the lead is something to ponder.
Let's see if maybe Ball State can fight back here. They got a chance. They've got some momentum. They've got some offense. And there it ends. And there's Buddy getting another goal. All right, what's happening, Taco? Ball State find resistance and find no answer against this Maryville offense.
Well, I have to say Adam actually gets the least expected touches, and that's something that he's really good at. Mechanics everyone thinks about are, oh, it's air dribbling, it's about flip resets, it's about getting off the ceiling. But no, sometimes it's just being able to pre-flip to the wall and then immediately flick one high over that first defender. Suddenly, the defense, thinking they know what's coming next, get thrown for a loop and are not available to stop that redirect.
3.5 minutes left on the clock. There's plenty of time for a comeback here out of this Ball State team. I just need to see more offense. Very few teams are able to say they can stop Ball State out at midfield. Maryville, one of said few. And they're doing a good job here, too. Oh, it's going to try and carry this one out of the half. He's got a reset, got it over one. Not even over one. Knight never bit. He never wanted to dive on that play, which means nobody from Maryville was overcommitted, meaning Ball State now back into defense.
Adam, another delayed into Knight on the, let's say, back pass, because Buddy is technically still getting on that one. Maintaining possession, trying to stay close to it, and cutting on in. I really like the swagger through which Maryville is rotating through these plays. In fact, they're still getting on the ball despite what looks like kind of an awkward double commit. They're still maintaining pressure and staying around the ball.
Trying to build something here. This is Ball State team. They're finally starting to get some offense for an elongated period of time, but they're still struggling to find shot. That's a great pass. That's a great play, but it is still not a shot. Guh couldn't wrap himself around that one perfectly, and that won't count either. Goes to the opposite corner. Oh, trying to set up one of his teammates. Will get the bump. Is anybody there? And that doesn't even count as a shot.
Wow, Knight, another brilliant touch up and over to be able to get that reset. And that's a player that I feel like you really want to keep an eye on. The moment he starts hitting every single reset perfectly is the moment where you really need to kiss your chances goodbye if you don't shut that one down. And the more confident he gets, the more scary this squad is. Is also pretty spooky. That might be on defense, but that's a nice redirect.
How many redirects in a row was that? That felt like everybody on Ball State were just kind of going, okay, you take it, no, you take it, no, you take it. Nobody actually took the shot, though, and as much as they were able to make some impressive plays, a single doink out of midfield, the closest thing that counts to a shot, and it feels like it's been a while since we've seen a true and authentic one. 100 seconds left on the clock at this point in Ball State. While they do have the time, need to switch something up. We mentioned it. This is by far the most we have seen a team read this Ball State team, and they're not just reading them like a book, they've got the novel memorized.
Yeah, but also keep in mind is that this game for Ball State is one that they're behind, and yet it's Maryville that are like jumping off the backboard, stealing balls from their teammates. They're the ones having fun, and that's like really half the battle. I think it's important to stay locked in and be really able to put on the blinders mentally, but other times it's nice just to be able to say, hey, I'm liking the vibe we have in comms, we're goofing off, we're having a good time on the field playing goofily, and it's a good thing because it allows them to play loosely, and I think that's actually what is really helping them stay around these touches and get in the way of Ball State.
I will say that's also been one of the biggest things people have wondered about this Maryville team. Because they are a newer roster and the previews that we've had for this team through multiple collegiate events prior, people have had questions about their chemistry. They haven't seemed to be able to rotate around each other without the occasional double commit, these weird overcommitments at times. It seems like this free-flowing rotation that they have right now is working out for them in a way that we have not really seen before. So props to Maryville. 40 seconds on the clock. They are definitively going to take this next game as long as they don't, I would say, choke. Because, look, as much as I want to say Ball State have the time to come back, they are just not getting the opportunities to even get goals.
And you can see it in Adam. He's not really worried whatsoever. He's backwards for both of those challenges, and it still works out to the corner. Knight, knowing he's just trying to bleed out that time, is able to take a flick past one. Maybe an accidental back pass, almost an own goal there from Wova. Maybe he needs to take a little bit more mustard off that one next time.
10 seconds left, and unless we see Ball State score literally right now, it's officially over. No more chances for Ball State to turn this around from 13 straight to 2 losses in a row. And not just 2 losses in a row, a shutout loss here in their second of the day. Maryville, I mean, look, we said it. This is important for a reason. It's not just the fact that Ball State want to, continue their streaks, how long they can get it. It's Maryville going, hey, you might have beat us earlier on the day. This means more. This is the preview to tomorrow. They recognize they might have lost their chances in the other competitions here, but in NECC, they still have a chance at a national title.
And they're seeing a lot of firsts here. Obviously, the losses coming through from Ball State on the day, but also, as you mentioned, the shutout is just as important. It means the defense is in because the shots were very much still raining down. A lot of redirects in front of net, a lot of infield passes, a lot of solo plays that nearly got in, but the defense was just smart enough to it. And again, to reiterate, Ball State, they are a favorite for this championship, for the other championship within this LAN as well, and yet they are still susceptible. They are fallible. Gods can bleed, and so therefore, Maryville is taking advantage of that one. We said this is a consolation because these two teams are locked in for a championship tomorrow, but if this is a preview, I think Ball State is not going to be going back to the hotel, getting some food, kicking back, and having a good time. They're going to be hitting the tape after this.
I mean, that's what they said they did yesterday. We heard it from Oath. He said, hey, we didn't really have the greatest first day here of CECC. We were not feeling all too confident. So what did we do? We went back, we reviewed tape, we got locked in and got ready for today. I expect them to do this, and honestly, this might actually be good for them. It sounds dumb, but sometimes it's good to get a loss before you have important matches like this because you'd rather take a loss here in a show match than you would at the national title on the line. Ball State, though, still don't want to take a loss regardless. They'd like to at least push this to 5, but they need a win here in order to get it.
Another touch from Buddy to be able to start things off, but going to be capable of dealing with that. And honestly, coming into this game, if this is truly both teams really firing at all cylinders, everybody needs to be aware that's an element of backboard defense that sometimes people just don't really realize, except Wova is not concerned about the backboard. It's the top of the box and is where he strikes.
Wova's been pretty quiet throughout this series. We talked about it. He was good on the start. He has not been nearly the factor he is right now through the last 2 games. 4.5 minutes ago, Ball State starting off strong, and I think that's really important, Taco. We talked about it. This is a team that needed to set the tone. Them going down early in the last 2 games cannot have felt good.
No, and that's really where it kind of hurts the pride because they know this is the team that they're going to be playing tomorrow. But even still, this is a team that they have recent history against. A couple hours ago, they played this squad, and it really went their way, overwhelmingly so, giving up, I believe, only 1 goal across that entire series. So now, maybe with the pressure off, they're taking their foot off the gas. That's why I mentioned that we can't really use this as full evidence. But I think with Maryville, this is also showing that Ball State, they got on streaks. They're really unstoppable when they really figure something out. But Maryville right now, they're spooky. Knight and Adam right now are hitting seemingly everything they get their fingers on.
It definitely feels like this is Maryville living up to the potential. When this team got formed, a lot of people looked at this and went, all right, cool, new Kings of the West. Like, this team will definitively be the #1 team in the West. And then a couple of weird tournament results in a row, and people go, I don't know about that one anymore. Now, this kind of feels like the expectations are being met. This is what we thought from this team. This type of offensive aggression, this type of individual ability is something we were hoping this Maryville team would show. Unfortunately, they haven't shown it here in this 4th game, though. They are still down by 1, and with 90 seconds gone and another offense brewing for Ball State, they do seem to have made some adjustments in between games.
And I think a large part of it, and something I really do like to mention, is the level of support these teams have, not just in terms of fans across the nation, but also people traveling across the nation to get to them. Buddy going to get a goal and some cheers, I'm sure, from the supporters because both Maryville and Ball State carrying a posse of family and friends here alongside them cheering.
Shout out to all of the esports parents watching from home, watching in person, anywhere in between. It means a lot to have so many people supporting collegiate esports, not just the players, the coaches, the people involved, but really the families that are here. Again, to anybody wondering, maybe you've been watching the broadcast, maybe you've just been kind of tuning in casually, this is all players that are going to college for esports. It's one of the coolest things that esports has to offer is the ability to give people a higher education for basically free. A lot of these guys are on full ride scholarships to these universities. It's huge to see. It's awesome to see the support, and it's even awesome to see this type of gameplay. Again, 2 of the best teams in the nation going head-to-head right now, and through 2 minutes in this 4th game, they are still level at 1 apiece.
And you're seeing the best of the best, and also in terms of shots and execution, a couple of these angles are nutty, and yet you're still seeing them be dangerous. How about Wova with the sidewall? Musty, the accidental touch, and that's technically going to be Wova's.
I'm going to be real with you. I'm actually happy this does, because from the Musty we got from him earlier, this feels much more deserving of a goal, despite the other one getting the goal. So, you know what? Good on you, Wova. You got the Musty you were looking for. Maybe not exactly how you were looking to get it, but it'll do the same thing. It'll give the lead to Ball State, and with 2.5 minutes to go, and a Knight who looks to equalize, I was going to say it could be important. It still is, but it's not necessarily to avoid the tie anymore. It's to keep the lead.
Yeah, Wolf is going to get a deflection. That's actually a pass potentially go. And Oath actually saw the danger. You can see them both collapse on that near post just in time.
1-2 here with Ball State just trying to hold on to this lead. A lot easier said than done considering the Maryville offense, which has shown individual prowess, team prowess, everywhere in between. So Ball State, how do you counter that? Well, right now, you don't. You get demoed, and you have to accept that, as here comes Go, just trying to get it off the half. Pinch out center, not going to be enough, but Oath will at least keep the offense brewing and get a free shot. That's another own goal. 2 in a row.
Well, well, well. Sometimes it really do be your own people stabbing you there. Oath gets the shot off. It's off target, but Knight can't know that. He has to go up for it. The problem is halfway through those arrows are the moments where you realize, I should probably lean back, and then it's right in your net.
It's a hard one to try and fight against, but it's also something I think Ball State needed in this moment. We talked about it. These teams very much momentum-based, and really I think all Rocket League teams would say that they are momentum-based. For Ball State to finally find a way to not only show resistance to Maryville, but also go, hey, you guys are vulnerable too, it's got to do a lot for them. That being said, they still have 90 seconds to play out, and if Maryville keep this offense like this, I suspect they'll get some more goals.
What a tilter of a way to give up goals
right?
from Maryville is that the defense isn't actually doing anything wrong. They're right in the position up until the final touch. Those deflections on the own goals are so irritating because it's all based on the reaction. The first one was a just premature jump that helped its way into a deflection into that near side. The other one is really just trying to pre-jump a read before it gets doubled, only for you to double it yourself. Those are things you can maybe laugh off, but it's got to be irritating to be on match point in a game like this to warm yourself up for tomorrow, and yet it's not going your way. But of course, as I say that, Adam does get a way to keep them just even that much closer.
I kind of want an overtime here, Taco. I feel like we got so many good overtimes in the last series that we played. It feels only right to get another one here, but it's up to Maryville to do so. A minute to go, and if they can at least get one more, we have a chance at OT. If you're a Ball State fan, though, you're absolutely disagreeing with everything I'm saying right now. You want to see them keep this lead, you want to see them force a Game 5, and you want to see exactly that. You want to see challenges out of Maryville that are over-aggressive and that they can counter on.
Buddy, I feel like just grab a portal gun. It just came out of nowhere. I have no idea how he challenged that from Oath on that redirect, but it's good that he did because he is able to keep his team within reach of taking this game back. That's a heavy touch from Oath on the back post. Knight's going for the redirect, and if not for the lack of boost, he probably would have had it.
I can understand why we see this amount of aggression out of Maryville, but again, I will stick to my guns and what I just said before. They should not be getting this aggressive because the unfortunate truth is their middle ground of aggression, finding moments to dive in and other moments to play more passively, is what has led them to the 2 wins they've had so far in this series. For them to just go all-out offense here at the end of this game, it is understandable, but I don't think it will be successful. You got 15 seconds to prove me wrong, buddy. Let's see if you can do so. But a long ball downfield, no defenders back, open goal, and God will take it. No, excuse me, Oath will take it.
Well, it's called a goal secure, not a goal steal. Yeah. They're all on the same team. Also, then they're able to get the one stat that is not recorded, the full team passing plays, where everyone is on the same page. Something that Ball State has shown that they're more than capable to do. Granted, it's a meme goal, but it's more of a security blanket for this next 12 seconds.
It's a guarantee we go to Game 5, and honestly, it's one that I wasn't sure we would get there, but then when we saw Maryville 2 own goals in a row, you had to imagine that's going to be the halt in the momentum that they had been building for the previous games. There's a 5th one. Ball State showing, hey, you might have given us 2 freebies on this one, but even without them, we would have won either way.
Well, looks like we are going to get a series that goes the distance, a 4-0 in the initial game on stream, that best of 7 to put down Southern Miss. And now Ball State and Maryville, the 2 marquee talents left in this group stage, are playing this game just as kind of a fun one as a warm-up, but just to think that we might see this again as neck and neck as it is in a best of 7 tomorrow, it just has me so excited to be able to get to sleep and just get there already.
Let's be real. I think up until now, probably pretty friendly. I think probably the 2 teams are like, we can mess around here, we can go for musty flicks there. You know, a little bit of friendly competition. Yeah. Now we get to Game 5, and I feel like this is about to get very intense. I feel like for Ball State, this is going to go, we're not giving up this undefeated streak. We are not dropping a series here today. For Maryville, this is them going, yeah, okay, sure, bud, sure. They want it, and I can understand why. They want to try and prove that the 4-0 earlier on the day was a fluke. They want to try and prove that tomorrow will be competitive. And if you really want to prove that, you'll win right here and now, giving Ball State their first loss of the day.
And it very much feels like one of those matches where you know going into this, I mean, not really stakes. It's more so you're just trying to entertain for the fans, you know, give us something to cast and be able to just play one more time because technically we do need to complete the group stage. But then, like, once you get into Game 2, Game 3, you start to lean forward a little bit and start to grip the control controller more and you realize, no, I really, really want to take this. Because you can't take the competitor out of these players. They're here because they love competing and because they have that drive that few others do.
I mean, again, to be a college player and get to this level is not just, oh, okay, you're a good player, you went to college. There are hundreds, if not thousands of universities here that support Rocket League teams. You can be a good player. You can be a great player. You can be the highest rank in Rocket League, and you still may never even glimpse a LAN of this level. That is how good these teams are. That is the pride that they have in their ability to play. So if you think players who've been playing through all that adversity, who've been grinding for thousands on thousands of hours, are just going to get into a show match like this and go, game 5, who cares who wins? Nah, you're dead wrong. Let's get it going. Game number 5 between Ball State and Maryville. Winner of this one will not actually get any prizes. They will just get the pride of winning. And for a Maryville who got swept early in the day, you have to know they want that so badly.
Knight trying to kickstart yet another solo play, and again, that is a player you really want to keep an eye on because he's going for double flip resets. If he has that in his back pocket of tricks and he's just busting it out willy-nilly, then you really need to make sure you have him locked down. One of the many weapons of Maryville, but certainly the one that you do not want any open looks given to.
Pinch off the backboard, going to most likely halt the offense there for Maryville, and actually it'll turn into a counterattack. Wova, no boost in tank, so he can't find another touch here, but luckily he's got Oath in the corner to back him up. Another touch there. And Ball State just trying to find a way to even get a shot here. A miss in the corner might be enough, but Knight dives at that one early. The shot does ring in, but a player well prepared on defense.
Trying to switch over, I believe, into a different car. So potentially there is a little bit of a mental adjustment there. I feel like that is the classic from a player. You lose a game and you're like, I need a different fit because if you look good, you're playing well. Wova with a fake underneath almost making that look so easy.
No!
The post again. How about a crossbar denting in the frame is Ball State.
That's gotta hurt. Maybe that's a karma. You know what I mean? Like they got 2 own goals in a row. Nope, I'm not reacting to that one. Please score the goal. Okay, that's what do you even say to that? What is that, 5 shots against the bar in a row?
I mean, if I alt-tab, I know in the back of my mind it's RocketLeague.exe, but this is Crossbar Simulator right now. I can't believe how many frame hits in a row. It's just in the past 30 seconds that we just saw, and now it's just Maryville acting like, nope, it's fine. Everything is fine, and we're still somehow 0-0.
I didn't even get to finish my prior statement. I was going to say maybe it's karma for the fact that they got 2 own goals in the last game. So it's like, hey, no, you guys just have to put a couple of like open shots off the bar. A couple would have been fine. That was 4 in a row. That is absurd. Ball State, if they do end up losing this game, are definitely going to look back upon that and go, what happened? I'm not exactly sure what happened there either. I think the touch was maybe a little bit lighter than he was hoping for, and it goes to the backboard. And now Ball State, offense and... You can't write scripts like this, bro.
I want to be serious. It's game 5, but I can't even take that much pain, I would have to say, because this is second-hand pain. Ball State is doing everything in their power to get this ball on target, and they simply can't. Adam is going to be helped by the post with a heck of a double tap.
He's showing you this is how you do that. You don't have to put it square against the post. You can put it at an angle and have it glide on in. Beautiful shot out of Maryville. I wish we could give it more height, but it still kind of feels like I'm reeling from the, 28 different shots we saw ring against the bar?
And it's really not for lack of trying at the end of the day. That's the one thing that we might look back at, and people looking at these results later on in the bracket and say, well, what really happened there? It seemed like this game kind of got away from them. Maryville going to squeak one out, but no. It's the 4th defender in the crossbar and the post being able to save their keister. So being able to actually bring that one forward, Maryville, you've been given quite a lot of good fortune. Now what do you want to do with it?
2 minutes to go. Plenty of time for Ball State to turn this one around, but I definitely think they need to work on their shooting. Precision, definitely not the name of the game right now. It's a volley of shots, but unfortunately none of them have rang home. Oh, they can change this here, though. Good demo, good counterattack. Wova going to pop this out of the corner. Look for a double, leaves it to Oath. But Guz getting chased around by Adam. He doesn't really have a way to control that midfield, which means Knight gets a free touch and potentially a follow-up shot. No, instead, it's back out to midfield. But huge chance for Ball State to keep possession, and unfortunately just couldn't quite.
Another deflection. Actually, 3 players going, and I believe a pinch potentially being generated from all that. Delayed flick into the musty from an angle, off of the post and in via Oath.
Wova, I know you've gone for some musties, and you've had some successful ones. This is how you musty. My goodness, the power he gets from it. And honestly, props to Oath. Full faith in his teammate to get the power on that, jumping for that one very early into offense, and it pays off. Ball State, that cohesion that we bragged about so many times here today, being shown yet again.
I love the body language, the car language, if you will, from all those players, because the moment Ga rotates that 180 to set the musty, you can almost see the Maryville comms just go, uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Whoa! Oh, going through and cannot finish the job. Uh-oh might be the new main word that we're going to see from this Maryville squad if they keep giving this amount of time to Ball State. We've mentioned it against Southern Miss. We've mentioned it against Akron. We'll mention it a million times here. You cannot give Ball State time. If you give them room to work with, they will punish.
We're not necessarily in the next goal wins territory, but it's very much silver goal. This could be it. Wova has an open shot, and yet the angle, I think, got to his head. Not able to put that one between the sticks with Buddy now. Trying to carry it forward with the boost that he does hold on to. Knight looking to test Guh, but Guh forgoes getting that corner boost, instead focuses on the clear.
Follow-up touch there from Oath isn't exactly going to send it into the Maryville side, but it will at least keep it out of midfield so that Ball State doesn't have to play some defense. Or maybe they do. I don't think they were expecting to, which is why you see low boost totals and nobody really challenging out of midfield. But here we go. One last offense. Ball State with 10 to go. Double commit out of Maryville. Is anybody there? No! Buddy on no boost still gets a free transition out of the half. Ball State just were not prepared, and instead they go to overtime.
Buddy was sitting there on the near post. I like the look there, but unfortunately does not have enough power. So yes, we will go to overtime. Golden goal to see who takes this series to end out group stage. Granted, we're still seeing these two teams again tomorrow for a best of 7, but this is more than pride. This is school spirit. This is the competitive edge that propels these players to the very top of the collegiate scene, and we're going to see it for certainly a banger goal to end this fantastic affair.
I will say this much. If you guys like the series you're watching today, make sure to tune in tomorrow. We mentioned it. These two teams are going to play against each other, but in a best of 7. So if this one goes 5, you have to imagine it's going the distance tomorrow as well. Question is who comes out on top, not only today, but tomorrow. We'll find out in a couple of seconds, maybe, if Maryville can keep this offense up. Pressure there, the shot on. Where's the follow? Not going to be found. Buddy did not want to bite as the midfield defender. He knew if that went over his head, that's end.
Oh, Knight is actually going for the ground pinch. He does not get to it. Pressure, name of the game for both squads.
Oh.
That's a nice rise by Knight, but he still can't get it. He was thinking too hard about the angle.
He tried, and I appreciate it, but no contact found in what feels like would have been a surefire goal to end this series. Instead, Maryville now have to play some defense. Oath is in the opposite corner, and he's playing patiently. A redirect center, a Wova 50, and no touch again. Both teams are so hesitant to send their third man.
And you can see it right now, everybody on Maryville trying to sit on back, giving Oath a lot of space. That's usually a losing strategy, but Oath does not have the boost to get that double. Adam, patient touch. Buddy will try to shadow behind him as now Knight has to take it around. And you can see the boost totals slowly dwindling. Buddy to the back post, still lobs another one, but it's still not out of this half.
Oh, pass out center, and that will do it. Ball State avoid dropping a series on the day. It might have been a show match, but it counts nonetheless. 2-1, 3-2, that's the series.
We can talk about how amazing it is that Ball State did not drop a game up until this series all day long, and yet they keep the streak that matters the most. Series W's, as you mentioned, undefeated. They're making a statement. They're saying even when you give your absolute all, apparently you're still playing catch-up.
You can try all you might. It's not going to stop Ball State. At this point, Ball State are truly the #1 seed in every regard at this LAN, whether for NECC, CECC, or maybe they're playing something else we don't know about at this point. They are truly the best team in Collegiate Rock League in this event. I don't know what else to say. They've proved it time and time and time and time and time and time. I'll stop myself there. Again, over and over, they show how resilient they are, how strong they are as a team, how cohesive they are. I'm done with the compliments. I could go all day.
Yeah, and so for at a certain point, yes, you do say, okay, it's only so much you can say about Ball State, and yet even when we come in with high expectations, they just exceed them and then keep going and then develop, because they really got pushed to the brink at times in this best of 5, and yet they're still able to come out on top. Again, please come back tomorrow because we will have a grand final for you between these same two teams. Before then, before we really exit on out, we do have an interview coming up. Don't go anywhere. We're talking to Too Fast, the coach, the brains behind the operation for Ball State. Stay tuned. Welcome back one more time. Ball State being able to clean up everything today because every competition you guys have played in has resulted in a loss. In fact, I should probably introduce who I'm talking to. It is the man himself, Too Fast, coach of Ball State. How are you feeling after today? Did you feel like you were coming in, you were just going to be able to clean house like this?
Oh, no. I think that's always the goal whenever you go into a series. I mean, as a coach, you always want your team to do well and to win.
Yeah.
Didn't expect it. I was hopeful as far as the wins go, but just in the fashion that we've had, that was certainly a surprise to me. So I'm very excited to go into tomorrow. Hopefully have a good series against Maryville.
Yeah, and when it comes to a team like Ball State, you obviously have taken over, and you have to, as a coach, kind of say, all right, well, I want to instill some kind of system. I want to get us to a point where it really does work on it. Do you feel like those three guys, when you took over, are they a very coachable team? Did you have to do much, or is it kind of just maybe directing them back onto a path every once in a while?
Oh, yeah, there's definitely a coaching to be done with them. I knew, being with the team for this year, I knew week one that the team had a lot of potential just right off the bat watching them. And so I was excited about that. But, yes, there's a lot of little things that can go wrong. There's a lot of, especially at a LAN like this, whereas it's easier to keep your mental in check online. Things are a lot different here. And so just the style, the approach that you have to coaching the guys and the play style that we want to have is just going to look different naturally just because of the nerves. Again, different environment. So there's definitely been that adjusting. I think that the guys have done well with it, and they've been receptive to what I've had to say, so it's been really good.
Yeah, and again, just to reiterate for people, this is a series coming in where I think Bass and myself on the cast have said that you are one of our favorites to be able to take it all, both in the NECC as well as the CECC broadly for the national championships. You do have a potential to get both of those. And I said it earlier, I mean, yeah, you don't really expect to win a lot of these series, and clearly it can go slightly wrong, as you mentioned, because that last one, kind of a show match, but also early preview for Maryville. You were able to 4-0 them earlier in the day. Today, it's a lot closer. Do you feel like that's really more emblematic of what you expect to see out of Maryville, a team that if you give them that space, they can really run with it?
Yeah, and I think that part of it, too, was with the series kind of being also a formality. I think that there was difference in play style, them trying stuff out, us trying stuff out. And so I think that it was more just kind of getting a feel for each other. I think tomorrow things are going to be a lot more straightened up on both sides. But Maryville's a good team. I mean, they have incredibly talented players. They have a great program behind them. So I think that we can definitely take it, but it'll take definitely the preparation. We have to come in and play our best. We can't just expect to win.
Absolutely. And so with that, I mean, there's really nothing left to say. Congrats today. Obviously, job is not done. You have 2 national championships to play for tomorrow, so we'll let you get on with your evening. Too Fast, any shout-outs you want to give before we let you go?
Yeah, I mean, just first off, obviously, shout out the team, shout out Ball State just for the opportunity to be here. There's been a couple people here as well beyond just myself and the starters, our sub, Luigi, and then the assistant director, BK, and then Daniel, who's also out here, is helping with the team. A lot of times you can see the players and their names in lights and forget the people behind the scenes, and so just want to give a quick shout out to them, just the hard work that they've done to help us prep to be here. But yeah, looking forward to tomorrow. Should be a good day. Absolutely.
It should be a good day, but tomorrow is not all that holds because we still have more here. We'll be cutting the stream, but still, stay tuned for 8 p.m. Central. It is going to be Valorant Finals here on NECC. Please stay tuned. We'll see you a little bit later.